person you pissed off. His name was Phil.
So, this is a very unique opportunity. I'm a big fan of XM's work, and none more so than this one. This is the XM Studios Iron Man Mark VII. As you have seen on my channel, I've tried to recreate this pose with a quarter scale Hot Toys figure, and it really can't be done because with the statue they were able to force the body position a little bit to give it a really good look. Anyway, I got this on a trade. I normally don't do this, but I really wanted to see this thing in person. On the other hand, with all the money going to the dioramas, I can't afford to keep it. So if anyone's interested watching this, just hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or Jazzink Dioramas, the website, whatever, and see if we can work out a deal. I got a good trade, so I can offer it below eBay prices. So let's dive in. Let's hope that it made the trip okay. As with everything XM does, I think they do it to perfection. So just look at that. Very hard. I don't know, it's not cardboard. It almost feels like a thick vinyl or something with the protective edges. Movie edition with the triangular arc reactor on the back. XM Studios, do not eat, or any other obvious stuff. Yeah, so the registration, which I won't be using, of course. Then very fragile, be careful of those little tubes. Okay, I have never seen an XM statue with an image of how the stuff comes in the box. Very cool. And what we've seen from XM before, most recently with my Boba Fett review, is the very handy and very cool so it's those very handy and very cool straps. Okay, so first off is the base, which is very heavy and massive, I can tell you that. And this is very neat. It comes with a pad, and that is for the very specific design, which doesn't allow them to put tabs underneath to protect the paint, because it can flip. You can either put Iron Man here or use the second pair of legs to put him here. So that's a very cool design feature. So here is the upper torso that I was warned about. Very nice. Get the head on there. A very strong magnet. And I really like this statue for a number of reasons. First of all, this is the best statue I've ever seen of an Iron Man. The most detailed, the most beautifully painted one. But it's also, the pose is absolutely perfect to me, and it has an incredible amount of display options. Starting with these parts that come off during the movie. So if you want to display it like this, you can. And if you want to display these flaps on there, you can. Like I said, you have the different legs, so you can change that out, give them a different look. And that goes for a number of parts. Let's talk through them while we can, while we are building up the figure. So look at that, look at the arm. And it has a number of very cool accessories on it. Now I've seen that there are some aftermarket parts that were made for this. One with a a mask that reveals the head sculpt, one with different arms, one with a diorama base. I don't know if you can get any of these anymore, but that would make it even a more flexible design. Moving around to the back. I like how it pivots very easily. Look at the detail. Very cool. Yeah, that fits. And that fits. And this goes there. All very strong magnets. Now, I have to see in person what I think about these. I mean, they're incredibly detailed pieces. They do add a lot of dynamic, much of a dynamic look to them. But also the other thing, when I saw this, it reminded me a bit of a dragonfly, which is not the look you're going for with Iron Man. But again, you're never looking at the back very much, and if you don't want that look, you just take them off. Again, one of the beauties of this design. Another smart thing about this design I'm noticing is if you try to put them in the wrong holes, first of all, it's not the right shape, but the magnets are reversed, so they push away from each other instead of attract, so that's a good thing. So that is a very badass looking Iron Man. And let's get him in a cooler environment. Now, if you're any bit of an Iron Man fan, that looks awesome. So let's slowly spin it around for you. I had missed these little two pieces that are also in the box, by the way. So the back flaps are 6 pieces. Definitely the very best Iron Man statue I've ever seen. So why was I not able to recreate this pose with a fully articulated quarter scale Iron Man? It's not the limited articulation you can get in an armor, because actually I think Hot Toys does an incredible job of that. But the XM are cheating a little bit with the curve they managed to get in the upper body, with the way the leg is kind of... you can't get this leg up this high with this armor, and especially, well, you can see here, this flap actually just kind of disappears in the in the back of the upper leg. I think that this is the same way that that they animate Iron Man in the movies. I mean, there are definitely some collapsed polygons in there. So there's something you can do with statues that you can't do with the real figures, which is one of the only reasons I would prefer this statue over something like a quarter scale Hot Toys. Problems with statues, well, usually they are very limited, of course, in what you can do with them. I think XM has done an exceptional job with being able to take out these parts, but especially with the second pose I'm going to show you with the second pair of legs. And then if you get the aftermarket stuff that's been made for it, if you can get your hands on it, you can even get more arm configurations, the open head. I've seen that on the Sideshow Freaks with the thread about this one. So that's amazing. The paint job is absolutely, well, it's not perfect, but it's really good. If I look up close here, let me see if I can get you in close. So if you look closely, the paint is a bit uneven here. There is a little bit of bleeding, the reds here, and some of these panel lines aren't totally perfect, but I mean, that is absolute nitpicking. If you look at it from normal viewing distances, normal viewing angles, it's really the best I've seen. And I've seen Sideshow ones, I've seen the The best I think Sideshow has done with the half scale Mark VII. I think it was the Mark VII. I've seen the Iron Studios one, which is also good, but not as good as this one. So if you're into Iron Man at all, I think this is the definitive piece, definitely. One of the other gripes that I had with this is the one advantage of having a statue over an actual action figure is that, especially at this price point, you see a lot that have light up features. Iron Man is the only figure I would really like to have light up features with, and it's just not included. I understand it's very hard, especially if you wanted to have different pairs of legs, but it is possible. I've seen Sideshow do it. I know this is a topic for debate. Some people don't like the light up. Some people don't like the idea that something can break inside their figure. I follow all that, but I want to see Iron Man badass with his repulsors, and with the stupid battery cells on a Hot Toys, it's just not feasible. I mean, these die out within an hour, so it's just not feasible. I would have liked to have seen it. So moving down, it all looks very good. And we are coming to the base. Now, this is also a hot topic of debate. If you follow this process at all, which I did from the early 3D sketches, they had sort of like a cityscape design first. Now they changed it into the Mark VII. I know that this is also a very much a love-hate type thing. I think it is incredibly clever the way they've designed this, where sitting upright it looks like letters, and flipping it over, which I'm going to show you later, shows the different levels for the leg articulation. So that's brilliant. It also comes with this little peg that closes the square hole that is used for the other pair of legs. So that's brilliant. Personally, I usually like a diorama base because I like maximum realism, you know, like being taken into the movie. But in this case, I think this is the best design and best idea, really. So let's go for the other pair of legs. So here we start at the base with the base flipped over and the second pair of legs moving up. So the first thing you'll notice probably is this has the unarticulated rocket bullet type thing that you see earlier on in the movie. I believe when I had the original Hot Toys Mark VII, there's even a third setup where the silver parts, the metal parts are even totally removed, which looked best to me, but that again is personal preference. And then moving up, here is the entire upper body sitting on the legs. To me, he's leaning over a little bit too much to this side, but I have to agree with what I've seen other reviewers say. If you look at this in person, it looks quite good. It'd definitely be my second choice to mix things up a bit, but it really looks good. Let's remove these parts for now and see how that looks. Giving him a little bit more of a later in the movie look where many of his parts are gone. I think that also looks very good. Very much the Iron Man we've seen in my favorite Avengers movie. I think this one benefits from having it turned slightly, like you see here. So let me pan down again for you, and then I'll zoom out to give you a total overview. Yeah, this definitely looks better if you have it slightly angled like this. Look at that. That looks very good. So as you can see, this statue has a lot of potential. This statue is, yeah, I stick to my guns here. It's the best Iron Man statue I've seen, even though this is quite a few years old. It hasn't been surpassed yet. A couple other gripes, like this repulsor is just a white piece of paint or a white sticker decal, I can't tell. Detailing here could have been a little bit better. I would have liked to be able to remove these parts, and I would have liked to be able to remove these parts. Those were, I think, pretty easy to do, but yeah, being someone who is tasked with making collectibles, I know how very hard it can be, and at some point you really have to draw the line or the budget just goes sky high. So who am I to say anything about that? I also love how they mix their paints, by the way, in the sense that the red is a very high gloss, metallic high gloss, and then these parts are more satin. This is even more like a matte flat finish. To me, this adds to the realism. So yeah, I think XM is really at the top of their game and at the top of the pyramid when it comes to high-end collectibles. To me, they are the pinnacle. Let me turn it around for you. From the back, the holes do look a little weird, but seeing that I never display my statues on a rotating table, I could probably live with that. And like I said, it just reminds me a bit too much of a dragonfly sometimes. Though again, seeing it in person, it is really cool. Another thing to note, by the way, these magnets, they aren't as strong as I would like them to be, especially around the arms. Oh yeah, well now they sit. No, I think they could fall off if you're not being careful with moving it. Well, of course, with this kind of high-end collectible, it's a given that you're extremely careful. Yeah, this one definitely gets a 9 out of 10 with points deduction for the lack of light-up feature and, of course, the very high price. But again, like I said, making these things myself, I know how hard it can be, and I know how fast the price of the stuff can go up. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to give you a few more shots, a few more parting shots, if you will. Bada boom. And see you next time.
Guys all over the place.
Agent Romanoff, you missed me?
Make a move, Ranger Gage. And there's one other person you pissed off. His name was Phil.